Most people think they know which Ohio cities are safe and which ones are not. They have heard the names, they have seen the headlines, they have formed opinions based on reputation, not data. This video is about the data. We went through FBI crime statistics, Ohio Highway Patrol reports, local law enforcement data, and multiple safety index rankings to build this list. We ranked 10 major Ohio cities by safety, and the results genuinely challenge what most people assume. Some cities with terrible reputations are safer than their image suggests. Some cities that nobody warns you about are doing worse than the headlines let on. Here is how we ranked them. We looked at violent crime rate per 1,000 residents, property crime rate per 1,000 residents, and overall crime index scores where available. We also factored in recent trend direction, meaning whether crime is getting better or worse. Lower crime rates equal higher safety ranking. Let us go from least safe to safest. Number 10. Cleveland. Cleveland sits at the bottom of this list, and the numbers explain why without any editorializing needed. Cleveland's violent crime rate runs at approximately 15 to 17 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, depending on the year and the reporting source. That figure is roughly 4 to 5 times the national average, which sits around 4 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. Property crime adds another significant layer, with rates that consistently rank Cleveland among the highest in Ohio, and among the higher figures for any major American city. Specific neighborhoods within Cleveland carry significantly higher rates than the city average. Areas on the east side of the city have documented violent crime concentrations that pull the overall number upward, while neighborhoods like Tremont, Ohio City, and parts of the west side perform considerably better than the citywide figure suggests. The Cleveland Division of Police has implemented various community policing initiatives, and the city has invested in violence intervention programs targeting the highest risk populations and geographies. The data shows some progress in specific categories in recent years, but the overall picture remains the most challenging of any major Ohio city. For context, this does not mean Cleveland is uniformly dangerous. It means the aggregate numbers place it last on a safety ranking of major Ohio cities. Where you live within Cleveland matters enormously, perhaps more than in any other city on this list. The range between the safest and most dangerous Cleveland neighborhoods is wider than the range between entire cities elsewhere on this ranking. If you are watching this and you are actually considering buying in Ohio, stop. Go to the description. There is a report there that took weeks to build, and it tells you exactly which towns to target and which ones to walk away from before your realtor even schedules a showing. Read that before you do anything else. Number 9. Youngstown. Youngstown is a smaller city than Cleveland, with a population around 60,000, but the crime numbers are severe enough relative to population size that it belongs near the bottom of any Ohio safety ranking. Youngstown's violent crime rate has been documented at approximately 15 to 19 violent crimes per 1,000 residents in recent reporting years, which places it among the highest per capita violent crime rates in the entire state. The property crime rate compounds the picture. Youngstown has appeared consistently on national lists of cities with high crime rates relative to population, and the data supporting those appearances is real. The root causes are well documented. Youngstown lost more than half its population over 5 decades following the collapse of the steel industry. Economic devastation of that scale produces concentrated poverty, limited opportunity, and the social conditions that correlate strongly with crime across every geography where they appear. This is not unique to Youngstown. It is what happens to cities when their economic foundation disappears without replacement. What the numbers also show is that parts of Youngstown have seen genuine improvement. The city has worked with community organizations on violence reduction, and specific metrics in specific neighborhoods have shown positive movement. The trend direction in Youngstown has been somewhat more encouraging in recent years than the raw numbers alone might suggest. But starting from where Youngstown starts means improvement is a long road. Number 8. Dayton. Dayton surprises people on this list because it does not carry the same national name recognition for crime that Cleveland does. But the numbers place it firmly in the concerning category for a major Ohio city. Dayton's violent crime rate sits at approximately 9 to 12 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, which is 2 to 3 times the national average. Property crime is also elevated, with rates that rank Dayton above most comparable mid-size American cities. The Montgomery County seat has roughly 137,000 residents and has been dealing with the overlapping challenges of post-industrial economic stress and the opioid crisis, which hit the Dayton area with particular severity. Dayton gained significant national attention around 2017 and 2018 as an epicenter of fentanyl-related overdose deaths. The public health emergency created by that crisis had downstream effects on crime statistics as the two issues intersect in ways that are documented in the research literature. The city's emergency services were responding to overdoses at rates that strained capacity and shaped the broader public safety environment. The city has invested in community development, neighborhood stabilization, and crime prevention programs. The Oregon District neighborhood shooting in 2019 brought additional national attention to Dayton, though that event was distinct in character from the ongoing crime patterns reflected in the annual statistics. Parts of Dayton, particularly in the southern and eastern parts of the city, performed considerably worse than the average. Other parts of the city and the broader Dayton metro area in surrounding suburbs are significantly safer. Like Cleveland, the within-city variation is substantial. Number 7. Toledo. Toledo lands in the middle of the concerning category, not as severe as Cleveland or Youngstown on raw per capita numbers, but still well above national averages in ways that matter for residents making daily decisions about where to live and move. Toledo's violent crime rate sits at approximately 8 to 10 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. Property crime is elevated, with particular concerns around vehicle theft and burglary that local law enforcement has identified as priority issues. The city of around 270,000 residents sits in Lucas County at the western end of Lake Erie and has experienced the same general pattern of post-industrial stress seen across the Great Lakes region. Toledo's crime is geographically concentrated, a pattern that repeats in every city on this list. The East Toledo neighborhoods and specific corridors on the city's south and north sides carry higher crime loads. The historic Old West End neighborhood, known for its extraordinary Victorian architecture, has worked to maintain community stability despite proximity to higher crime areas. Neighborhoods near the University of Toledo and in the western parts of the city perform better than the city average. What Toledo shows in its trend data is worth noting. Some crime categories have been declining over the past several years, suggesting that prevention and intervention programs are having measurable effects. Violent crime trends in Toledo have been more positive in recent reporting than property crime trends. The direction of travel matters alongside the starting point. Number 6. Akron. Akron sits in the middle of this ranking, which places it in complicated territory. The city is not in the severely distressed category occupied by Cleveland, Youngstown, and to some extent Dayton, but it is not in the safer half of the list either. Akron's violent crime rate runs at approximately 7 to 9 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. Property crime adds substantially to the overall crime burden. The Summit County seat has a population around 190,000 and has been navigating the same economic transition challenges as other northeastern Ohio cities, with a particular history tied to the rubber industry that once made it globally significant. Akron has experienced periods of significant tension between its police department and community, including high-profile incidents that generated national attention. The ongoing work around police-community relations in Akron reflects broader national conversations, but with a local intensity that has shaped the city's safety environment in complex ways. On the positive side, Akron has real assets working in its favor. The University of Akron provides institutional stability, the Bounce Innovation Hub, and broader efforts to build a technology and entrepreneurship economy are generating some economic diversification. Neighborhoods like Highland Square have maintained strong community character and relative safety, and the city's parks system, including the metro parks serving Summit County, provides genuine quality-of-life infrastructure. The range within Akron is wide. Northwestern Akron neighborhoods perform quite differently from some areas in the eastern and southern parts of the city. As with every city on this list, location within the city is as important as the city-level statistics. Number 5. Cincinnati. Cincinnati is where this list starts to shift. The city of around 309,000 sits in the bottom of the safer half of this ranking, which means it faces real challenges, but also shows a more nuanced picture than the cities ranked below it. Cincinnati's violent crime rate sits at approximately 6 to 8 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. That figure is still above the national average, but it places Cincinnati in a different tier than Cleveland, Youngstown, or Dayton. Property crime is a more significant issue in Cincinnati than violent crime in relative terms, with certain categories like theft and vehicle-related crime elevated above what comparable cities see. Cincinnati's geography creates dramatic variation in crime experience. The Over-the-Rhine neighborhood, which underwent one of the most significant urban revitalization transformations in Ohio over the past 15 years, moved from being one of the city's highest crime areas to a destination neighborhood with restaurants, music venues, and investment that has genuinely changed its character. That transformation is real, documented, and worth understanding as a model for what neighborhood-level change can accomplish. Other Cincinnati neighborhoods have not seen the same investment or improvement. The east side of the city carries higher crime concentrations, and the benefits of revitalization have not been distributed evenly, creating legitimate conversations about who the improvements are actually serving. Cincinnati's trend data has shown some improvement in violent crime over recent years. The city has invested in community violence intervention programs, and the results in specific neighborhoods have been measurable. The overall direction is cautiously positive. Number 4. Columbus. Columbus at number 4 might surprise people, given that it is the largest city in Ohio and one of the fastest-growing cities in the entire country. Large, fast-growing cities often see crime challenges scale with their population growth. Columbus is managing that dynamic with mixed results that place it solidly in the middle of this ranking. Columbus's violent crime rate runs at approximately 5 to 7 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. That figure is above the national average, but below the more severe rates seen in the cities ranked lower on this list. Property crime is notable in Columbus, with vehicle theft in particular having increased in recent years as part of a national trend that has affected many cities. Columbus has the advantage of a diversifying economy, major university presence, and sustained population growth that creates tax base for public services. Those structural advantages matter for public safety because they fund police departments, social services, mental health infrastructure, and the community programs that address crime's root causes. The variation within Columbus is significant. The Short North and Clintonville neighborhoods in the north part of the city perform quite differently from some neighborhoods on the east and south sides. The Hilltop neighborhood has faced concentrated crime challenges, and the rapid growth of the city has created some areas where new development and infrastructure have not kept pace with population. The trend data for Columbus is mixed. Some crime categories have improved, while others, particularly vehicle theft, have worsened. The city is large enough and resourced enough to implement data-driven strategies at a scale that smaller cities cannot match, and that capacity is reflected in the overall picture. Number 3. Springfield. Springfield at number 3 is where we start getting into cities that perform genuinely better than their reputations in some cases and worse in others. Springfield, a city of around 58,000 in Clark County, has a violent crime rate that runs approximately 5 to 7 per 1,000 residents, placing it near Columbus in the overall ranking. What makes Springfield notable in this context is that for a city of its size, those numbers represent a significant challenge. Smaller cities with high crime rates face different pressures than large cities because the concentration effects are more pronounced. Springfield does not have Columbus's resource base or institutional depth to absorb and address crime at scale. Springfield has received significant attention in recent years for its community demographics and social tensions that generated national media coverage. The underlying data shows a city dealing with real economic stress, population that has seen significant change, and public services trying to keep pace with social needs that are outrunning capacity. The city has community organizations working on violence prevention and economic development. Clark State College provides some institutional anchoring, but Springfield is a city where the gap between challenges and resources is real and visible in the data. Number 2. Canton. Canton lands in the second safest position on this list, which requires some explanation because Canton is not typically thought of as a particularly safe city. The numbers, however, place it better than many of its Ohio peers when adjusted for size and context. Canton's violent crime rate runs at approximately 4 to 6 violent crimes per 1,000 residents. That figure keeps it in the above-average range nationally, but below the more severe rates seen in the bottom half of this Ohio ranking. Property crime is more of a concern in Canton than violent crime, and the city has worked on targeted enforcement in specific areas where property crime concentrates. Canton's population of around 69,000 sits in Stark County, and the broader county context matters for understanding safety here. The suburban areas around Canton perform significantly better than the city itself, and the contrast between city and county crime rates is among the sharper divides in the Ohio data. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is located in Canton, and the city's identity is tied in real ways to that institution and the tourism and civic energy it generates. That connection has supported some economic activity and community investment. The McKinley neighborhood and areas near the Hall of Fame corridor have maintained relative stability. The trend data for Canton shows some positive movement in violent crime categories in recent years, suggesting that prevention efforts are having some measurable effect. Number 1. Columbus suburbs, specifically Dublin, Westerville, and Powell. This requires an honest clarification. If we are ranking major Ohio cities as defined by significant population centers, Columbus ranks 4th. But if we expand the frame to include the major suburban cities of the Columbus metro, the picture changes significantly, and it would be dishonest not to address it. Dublin, Westerville, and Powell are among the safest communities in Ohio by any measure. Dublin's violent crime rate runs below 1 per 1,000 residents. Westerville and Powell show similar figures. Property crime is low. The overall crime index scores for these communities place them among the top tier of safe communities in the entire state. For the purposes of this ranking, and in the interest of completeness and accuracy, if you are evaluating safety in major Ohio population centers, the Columbus suburbs represent the safest end of the spectrum by a significant margin. Within the traditional definition of major Ohio cities, Columbus at number 4 earns the best ranking among the large cities, reflecting its resource advantages, economic growth, and the relative success of its crime prevention infrastructure compared to Cleveland, Youngstown, Dayton, Toledo, and Akron. The results of this ranking challenge two common assumptions. First, that Ohio's reputation for dangerous cities applies everywhere equally. It does not. The range between Cleveland and Dublin is enormous. Second, that reputation and data always align. They do not. Some cities on this list are doing better than their image suggests, and some are doing worse than people assume. The safest thing you can do with this data is use it as a starting point, not an ending point. Crime statistics at the city level mask enormous variation within cities. Research the specific neighborhood. Talk to people who live there. Visit before you decide. The data gives you context. Only the ground truth gives you the full picture.